Welcome! Today we're making a delicious classic banana bread. It's easy to prepare and perfect for any time of day. Follow along, and you'll have a warm homemade banana bread ready to enjoy in no time. Alright, let's go through the ingredients for our banana bread. Start with 3 ripe bananas. These should be well mashed to get about 1½ cups. They add sweetness and moisture. Next, we need ½ cup of unsalted butter. Make sure it's softened so it blends easily with the sugar. Speaking of sugar, we'll use 1 cup of granulated sugar to sweeten the bread. We also need 2 large eggs for binding and richness, plus 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract for flavor. For the dry ingredients, we'll mix 1½ cups of all-purpose flour with 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Optionally, you can add ½ cup of chopped nuts or ½ cup of chocolate chips for extra texture and flavor. That's it, let's get baking! Alright, let's start by prepping for baking. First, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. This ensures that the oven is at the perfect temperature for baking the banana bread evenly. While the oven is heating up, let's take care of the pan. We're using a 9x5-inch loaf pan. That's the standard size for a classic loaf. To prevent the banana bread from sticking, we need to prepare the pan. You have 2 options here. First, you can grease the pan. Take some unsalted butter or nonstick cooking spray and coat the inside of the pan evenly, including the corners and edges. This will help the bread come out smoothly once it's baked. Alternatively, you can line the pan with parchment paper. Cut a piece of parchment paper to fit the bottom and sides of the pan. Place it in the pan, making sure it fits snugly and covers all the surfaces. This method is great because it not only helps with easy removal, but also makes cleanup a breeze. Now it's time to mix the wet ingredients. Start with a large bowl. This will give you plenty of room to work. Add ½ cup of softened butter to the bowl. If your butter isn't soft, you can microwave it for a few seconds or leave it out at room temperature until it's easy to mix. Add 1 cup of granulated sugar to the butter. Using an electric mixer or a whisk, cream these 2 together until the mixture is light and fluffy. This usually takes about 2 to 3 minutes with an electric mixer. Next, we'll add the eggs. Crack 2 large eggs into the bowl, one at a time. Beat each egg into the mixture fully before adding the next. This ensures that the eggs are well incorporated and helps with the texture of the bread. After the eggs are mixed in, add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. This will add a wonderful aromatic flavor to your banana bread. Now it's time for the bananas. Take 1½ cups of mashed ripe bananas. You should have about 3 ripe bananas mashed up. Stir these into the mixture. Make sure the bananas are well incorporated and evenly mixed with the butter and sugar mixture. The batter will be a bit chunky from the bananas, and that's perfectly fine. With everything combined, your wet ingredients are ready to go. Let's move on to the next step. Now let's move on to combining the dry ingredients. Start with a separate bowl. This helps keep the dry ingredients evenly distributed before mixing them with the wet ingredients. First, measure out 1½ cups of all-purpose flour and add it to the bowl. Next, you'll need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This helps the bread rise and become fluffy. Add 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda as well. This also helps with leavening and works with the acidic bananas. Finally, add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. This enhances the flavors and balances the sweetness. Use a whisk to mix these dry ingredients together thoroughly. Whisking helps to evenly distribute the baking powder, baking soda, and salt throughout the flour, so there are no clumps. This step is important because it ensures that your bread will rise evenly and have a consistent texture. Once everything is well mixed, set the bowl aside. We'll be combining these dry ingredients with our wet mixture shortly. Make sure to get everything well combined here. This is key to achieving a great texture in your banana bread. Next up, we'll bring it all together. Now we're ready to combine the wet and dry ingredients. Start by gradually adding the dry ingredient mixture into the bowl with your wet mixture. It's best to do this in a few additions to keep the batter from becoming overmixed. Gently fold the dry ingredients into the wet mixture using a spatula or wooden spoon. Be careful not to overmix, just mix until you no longer see dry flour. Overmixing can make the bread dense, so it's okay if the batter is a bit lumpy. Once the dry ingredients are just combined with the wet ingredients, it's time to add any optional extras. If you're using half a cup of chopped nuts, like walnuts or pecans, gently fold them into the batter. Nuts add a nice crunch and extra flavor. You can also add half a cup of chocolate chips if you want a touch of sweetness and richness. Gently fold these into the batter as well. Make sure the nuts and chocolate chips are evenly distributed throughout the batter, but don't overwork it. Your batter should now be ready to go into the prepared loaf pan. Next, we'll pour it in and get it baking. With your batter ready, it's time to bake the banana bread. Start by pouring the batter into the prepared loaf pan. Use a spatula to smooth the top so it bakes evenly. Make sure the batter is evenly distributed in the pan for a consistent rise. Place the pan in the preheated oven and bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. The baking time will be about 60 to 70 minutes. Start checking around the 60-minute mark. To test for doneness, insert a toothpick or a cake tester into the center of the loaf. If it comes out clean or with just a few crumbs, your bread is ready. If there's wet batter on the toothpick, give it a few more minutes and check again. Once baked, take the pan out of the oven and let it cool in the pan for about 10 minutes. This helps the bread set and makes it easier to remove. After 10 minutes, transfer the bread to a wire rack to cool completely. Cooling on a wire rack allows air to circulate around the bread, preventing it from becoming soggy. Let it cool fully before slicing to ensure the best texture and flavor. And there you have it. Your delicious banana bread is ready to enjoy. Before we finish, here are some helpful tips for perfect banana bread. First, use overripe bananas. The riper the bananas, the sweeter and more flavorful your bread will be. Blackened bananas are actually ideal for this recipe. Next, avoid overmixing. Mix the batter just until the ingredients are combined. Overmixing can make the bread dense, so it's okay if the batter is a bit lumpy. When baking, check for doneness a few minutes before the suggested baking time ends. Oven temperatures can vary, so it's good to be cautious. If the top of the bread starts to brown too much before the center is fully cooked, cover it loosely with aluminum foil. For storage, keep your banana bread in an airtight container at room temperature for up to 3 days. If you want to store it longer, freeze it for up to 3 months. Wrap it tightly in plastic wrap and then in aluminum foil before freezing. That's it. Enjoy your homemade banana bread.